Thank you, Greg. It's great to be here for the first time, and welcome to everyone. So here's a scenic shot of our property in the Golden Triangle of northern BC. Usual cautionary statement about some forward-looking ideas about the geology. So Romios has been around for about 22 years and has 5 projects currently in major mining camps in North America. We have the Scos Gold project in Nevada, Hislop Gold in the Timmins area, which is being vended to Rob McEwen's group right now. The first molybdenum mine in Canada at Locorne, which is currently, we're not doing anything there at the moment. We have a very significant project in northwestern Ontario, a copper, gold, silver VMS discovery we made last year, and our flagship property in the Golden Triangle, the Newmont Lake and the Trek prospect. So I'll start with the Newmont Lake Trek area, and then we'll go on to Lundmark. So here's talk about elephant country. The Golden Triangle hosts some major operating mines, the Red Chris, Brucejack gold deposit here, the former SK Creek, one of the richest mines in the world, the giant Galore Creek deposits here on our north side. The former Johnny Mountain and Stip gold deposits are right along the southern boundary of our property there. Romios has been active here since about 2005, has 72,000 hectares or 178,000 acres right in the heart of this elephant country. One of the great advantages for our property here is it's got some of the best access potential in the whole area. This is the mine to the old SK Creek mine, the road to SK Creek, and this is the new road into the AltaGas hydro dam there. So they spent something like $1.7 billion on infrastructure in this area. Brings the road and power within about 20 kilometers up a nice straight valley right into the heart of our project. So this is the geology of the central part of the Newmont Lake property. Quite a fascinating range of geology here, and one of the main features right down the middle is this graben, about 3 kilometers wide. So this graben is a down-drop trough, fault margins on either side, filled up with later volcanics and sediments. You can see a lot of copper gold showings along the side here. And along this side, we have intrusions of the Copper Mountain Suite. These are the same granitic intrusions as you see at Galore Creek, which is about 40 kilometers to the northwest from here. And so there's some suggestion that some of these occurrences are related to these intrusions along this fault boundary. So the main resource in the area is this northwest zone here, which we'll get into in a moment. Just off to the northwest here, we have a series of skarn-type copper gold showings up here surrounding what we think is a snow-covered granitic pluton, and we'll talk about that as well. So on to the northwest zone. So this was drilled back in the 80s by a junior company at the time, Gulf Minerals. Romios picked it up around 2005 and did some confirmation drilling before this resource estimate was calculated. So it's an NI 43-101 compliant resource, 1.4 million tons at 4.4 grams gold per ton. So by far the highest gold grades of any of the base metal deposits in this area, as well as 0.2 copper and 6 grams of silver. So these squares here, I don't know if you can see them, but those are 20-meter squares. So virtually all of this resource is between surface and 70 meters depth. There hasn't been a lot of deep drilling underneath it, and it's described as mantos and skarns, which are derived from fluids emanating from a buried granite pluton, typically. We've never hit the granite in drilling under here. And in most cases, the higher grade, larger skarn deposits would be right on the margins of the pluton. So we still have to find really the mother lode, the elephant underneath here. But with these kind of grades, some distance away from the source, it's very encouraging. And we have some geophysical evidence I'll show you in a second here of where we think this might be. On surface, this red line here, this is the surface projection of the 1.4 million tons. There was some geophysics done a few years ago that suggests there's an extension off to the northwest here. And so we need to drill that at some point, and as well as to the south. This is the chargeability map from the IP surveys done in 2007. And this is the outline of the known resource here. So you can see there's a big chargeability high extending south from the known resource. There's no guarantee that that's the mineralization, but it's, it's very intriguing that, that's the same extension of the mineralization. It looks even stronger, and it's, equally a big area that it covers there. There have been a few holes that were drilled over here and one over here that were abandoned and did not reach the target. Some of these only went down 20 meters before they lost the hole. So 2013, we did a ZTEM airborne survey over this area, and we just reprocessed the data a couple of weeks ago. There's a huge ZTEM anomaly right here, coincident with the IP anomaly. And that goes from surface down to at least 500 meters depth, that anomaly. So we think there's good potential to find significantly more resources south along strike, as well as up to the north of that one, and expand that resource. So this is the location of the northwest zone here on the recently completed AeroMag survey we did in February. We did a VTEM survey at the same time, an electromagnetic survey, and we're still waiting for the results of that to see where the best conductors are. But in the meantime, on the mag, you'll see up about 2 kilometers to the north, we have a series of copper-gold skarn occurrences around this magnetic body here. So these skarns are all related to the small dikes of syenite. Some of the grades pretty good, 6 meters at 0.9 copper and 2 grams gold. Syenite is one of the main mineralizing intrusions in this whole region, up at Galore Creek, for example, these alkalic porphyry systems. So we're fairly confident that this is a buried cyanitic or granitic intrusion that these dikes came off of. The problem in the past has been this is completely snow-covered and it doesn't melt. And so people haven't really explored around the margins of this. And once we get the EM data back, if there's any conductors in here, we need to really look seriously at those and maybe expand some of these occurrences here. The goal is to expand this northwest zone significantly and then add some of these satellite deposits to it. This is a fairly reasonable valley to work in, and this is just up the hill from there, so it's not too bad. About 5 kilometers to the west of that last spot, we have another cluster of skarn deposits as well around a snow-covered magnetic field. And this is one of the best ones at the south. It's a new discovery from 2013, 2014. As all this snow has melted over the years, it's exposed this rusty mineralized hillside here. In 2013 and 14, they sampled an area of 350 meters wide, and it's about 200 meters up the hill here. I don't know if you can see on the image, but it's still quite rusty and mineralized looking here, but they haven't sampled it, so it could be even larger. So we have some significant high-grade pods in here, 5% copper, 28 grams of gold, but the systematic sampling of 100 samples across here where they took a 2-meter square area and put it all in a bag, those averaged 0.47 copper, 0.27 gold, and 4 grams silver over a 300-meter by 225-meter area that we think is open this way and to the south. So it's quite encouraging. It's never been drilled. So this is our target number 1B for the summer, is to get a drill in here and see what the depth extent of this mineralization is. So we have high hopes for this summer that we can expand the known resource, find some satellite deposits, and prove this one up into a resource on its own. So that's the goal. As I said, drill test that last Burgundy Ridge discovery, expand the northwest zone existing resource, and some of the satellite deposits. The Trek deposit is a porphyry copper up at the north end of our system, very close to the Galore Creek property. In fact, the access tunnel was originally going to go through our zone there. It's a porphyry copper system, possibly 2 centers actually. That one's actually on hold for some logistical reasons this year, but hopefully in the future we'll be able to partner or carry on work there. Okay, we're going to jump over to northwestern Ontario now to the Lundmark Acau property. This is 500 kilometers north of Thunder Bay. It's about a 2-hour drive north of the old Pickle Lake gold mining camp. And we are just north, about 10 miles or 18 kilometers north of the Musselwhite gold mine. I spent 12 years here working for Musselwhite, doing the regional exploration throughout the belt. This is a golden banded iron formation deposit here. This red line is the iron formation. The past production and reserves, this is over 6 million ounces now and still going strong. When I was there, we always wanted to get our hands on this ground up here because we thought Romios had the most interesting ground in the belt that we didn't own. And finally, after I retired from Musselwhite, Tom called me up and said, "Would you like to come along?" And I said, "Yes." So the iron formation plunges to the north and then reappears in this red line here for about 8 kilometers on the Romios ground. So that's originally why they staked the property. Drilled a few holes at the north end. Probably not the best target in hindsight now that we understand fully the geology at Musselwhite. But after that, they were distracted by a high-grade gold showing over here, a little shear zone that ran 38 ounces, did some drilling on that. And then they found a copper gold-bearing schist here off to the side that was interpreted as a shear zone back then. We drilled a couple of holes into it in 2016 and realized this is actually the alteration system that you see underneath a massive sulfide deposit. So we followed it along until we found another cluster of conductors, and we drilled that one hole in 2017. We unfortunately only had time and money for one hole, and the drillers had to take their rig away. But we did hit a massive sulfide right where we hoped. So it's 1.9 meters drilled with 2.3 copper, 1.4 gold, and 2 ounces of silver with about a quarter pound of cobalt. So the gross metal value is about 240 tons US. We only have the one hole in there. It's open along strike and at depth. Speaking of tourmaline and Chicana's property, this is a very unusual massive sulfide, and it's full of tourmalinite. And anybody from BC might know that tourmalinite is very common at the Sullivan mine in the footwall there. There's a giant copper belt in India that has tourmalinite all through the footwall there, and that's 173 million tons. So some of these tourmaline-rich ones can be very large. Okay. So that's the deposit. We have 6 major conductors along strike that have never been drilled. And that's the hope for this fall. We hope we'll work in BC in the summer and come up here in the fall and winter and drill. And any one of these, that's a kilometer long. Any one of these could be a massive sulfide elephant in this country. Okay, thank you very much.